Afternoon here on the campus of the University of Missouri as Hazelwood East will take on Rockhurst in the 5A championship game. Now let's get down to the public address announcer, Mark Mills.
Ladies and gentlemen, here now are the starters for this 5A championship game. First for the visiting Rockhurst Hawklets at 10-2. Number 87, Gus Sonnenberg, a senior, 5'11", 172. Number 86, Jeff Baker, a senior, 6 feet, 185 pounds. Number 84, Tim Mock, a senior at 6'2", 197. Number 83, Chris Cotton, a 6'5", 206-pound senior. Number 78, Mike McGlynn, a senior at 6'7", 250. Number 76, David Kime, a senior at 6'5", 210. Number 70, Chris Sexton, a junior, 6'2", 220. Number 66, Josh Seltzer, a senior at 6'3", 236. Number 64, Steve Hutto, a senior at 6'1", 203 pounds. Number 60, Mike Valdivia, a senior at 5'9", 197 pounds. Number 54, P.J. O'Connor, a senior, 5'10", 214. Number 45, Barry Ryan, a senior, 6'1", 182. Number 44, Mark Neubauer, a senior at 5'9", 166. Number 41, David Reinches, a senior at 5'11", 180. Number 40, Chris Powell, a senior, 5'11", 217 pounds. Number 39, Sean Connor, a senior, 5'11", 245. Number 34, Matt Sweeney, a senior at 5'9", 181. Number 32, Charlie Lee, a senior, 5'11", 197. Number 31, Mark Mayer, a senior at 5'9", 176. Number 30, Jason Long, a junior, 6 feet, 170. Number 29, Kevin Efforts, a senior at 5'11", 163. Number 25, Vince Hodis, a senior, 6 feet, 180. Number 24, Eric Baker, a senior at 5'9", 182. Number 23, Sean Purcell, a 5'9", 155-pound senior. Number 20, Travis Hunefeld, a junior at 5'10", 173. Number 12, Brian Wyford, a senior, 6'2", 167. Number 11, Jamie Pendergast, a senior, 5'11", 165. And number 10, John Tarantino, a senior at 5'8", 166 pounds. Here now are the starters for the Hazelwood East Spartans at 13-0. Number 85, Ronnie Ward, a sophomore, 6'1", 200 pounds. Number 79, Henry Thomas, a junior, 6'4", 300 pounds. Number 75, Roderick Spiller, a sophomore, 6'2", 210. Number 62, Lawrence Hadley, a junior, 6'1", 190. Number 60, David Barr, a junior, 6 feet, 190. Number 58, Corley Brooks, a 6'8", 352-pound senior. Number 52, Tabari Wayne, a junior, 5'11", 190. Number 51, Derek Newsom, a junior, 5'10", 230. Number 46, Rob Meyercord, a senior, 6'1", 200. Number 44, Franklin West, a senior, 5'11", 170. Number 41, Terrell Fletcher, a junior, 5'10", 168. Number 33, Darrell Watkins, a 5'10", 165-pound senior. Number 30, Darnell Clark, a senior, 6 feet, 195. Number 27, Dan Castney, a junior, 6 feet, 175. Number 21, Ron Burton, a senior, 6 feet, 185. Number 16, Matt Martins, a junior at 5'10", 168. Number 15, Dave Whistler, a junior, 6'2", 155. Number 10, Kyle Robinson, a 5'11", 165 junior. Number 7, Ronaldo Gallagher, a senior at 5'7", 135. And number 5, Randy Hunt, a senior, 5'8", 180.
We're getting ready for the kickoff. This is the Missouri 5A Football Championship.
We're almost ready for the official opening of the
You are looking at Faroe Field on the campus of the University of Missouri, and we have been blessed with just a marvelous afternoon to play football. Temperatures up around the 50 mark, and that's not bad for a late November afternoon. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Apple, and welcome to the Missouri 5A State Football Championship between Rockhurst and Hazelwood East. And these are two schools heading in two different directions. And Dave Stewart, Kansas City's own Dave Stewart, Hazelwood East is here for the first time in a championship game, while Rockhurst has a lot of tradition.
Gary, so what else is new? I mean, that's what they say at Rockhurst. For the third time in 4 years, the Hawklets are back in the championship game. These players almost expect to be here. You figure when the senior class walked into the building as freshmen, the varsity won a state championship. They figured that they should be here and have an excellent chance to win. That guy, Chris Powell, is who makes it happen. As a sophomore 2 years ago, he scored the game's only touchdown as Rockhurst beat Hazelwood Central 7-0. He's the team's top running back, their leading tackler on defense, and a great kid. He makes things happen.
All right, also joining us this afternoon, the coach, Jack Jones, 25 years at Webster Groves. Jack, Hazelwood East is new to all this.
Well, they're very new. The Hazelwood district's not new. Hazelwood Central represented their district for many years, but East is an outstanding program, only to be bridesmaid to Hazelwood Central several years. But they're excited to be here.
While Dave talked about the great offensive explosiveness at Rockhurst, it's the defense at Hazelwood East.
Well, they certainly are awesome. Led by Corley Brooks, their 6'8", 352-pound defensive tackle, who is obviously big but very, very active. They are awesome on defense.
All right, and so we're getting ready for the kickoff between Hazelwood East and Rockhurst. This is the Missouri State High School Football Network.
This declaration hangs.
Kick it off as we get ready for the Missouri 5A Football Championship. And fellas, this is what it's all about.
This is what you start back in August dreaming about, having a chance to play the Saturday after Thanksgiving for a Show Me Bowl title.
Castning gets it underway from the 40, and taking it at the goal line is Vince Hodis. And it will be a touchback, and the ball will come out to the 20-yard line, and that's where Rockhurst will get it going.
Vince Hodis is a guy that we want to keep an eye on all afternoon long. Against Jeff City in the semifinals, he chipped a bone in his big toe in his right foot. Now, he's the kicker for this team, but he won't kick today. He was not able to practice all week, but he should see some action at slot back and certainly in the secondary.
Jamie Pendergast is the quarterback. Rockhurst lines up in the pro set. Hodis is in the slot, and wide to the left is Efforts. The handoff goes straight up the middle to Chris Powell, who gets about 3 yards on the play.
There's a real test right off the bat at that strong Hazelwood defense inside. Rockhurst didn't waste any time. They just simply came off the ball and ran right at those big tackles. I think they're going to see if they can control things in there early.
Henry Thomas came up on the tackle, only 6'4", 300. There you see the Rockhurst starting offense: Mock, Sexton, Selzer, O'Connor, Valdivia, McGlynn, and Efforts. McGlynn's a good one. We'll talk about him as we go. Second down. Pendergast loses the football, picks it up, and completes it out to the 29-yard line, where Powell slips and just short of a first down.
Well, that's a pretty good idea about the poise of Jamie Pendergast. Early in this football season, Tony Severino challenged his quarterbacks to be tougher. He makes a mistake, drops it, but he doesn't panic. He stays within himself, throws a nice ball out to Powell, and it's 3rd and 1.
Well, it's a dry afternoon, Jack, but the footing apparently a little slick here in the early going.
I'll tell you, this field is sand-filled, AstroTurf field, and it is a little slick out there from time to time.
3rd down and 1. The handoff goes right up the middle, and it will be a first down. Mark Mayer took it over the 30 to about the 31, and Hazelwood could not stop it, and Rockhurst has their first down of the day.
Gary, on the previous play, on the completed pass, I think one of the things that we're going to look for and see if Rockhurst can test Hazelwood's man cover real early, and that's what they did. They brought it back out of the backfield and got him open in the flats.
1st and 10. Rockhurst at their own 31. Pendergast, short drop, looks right and completes it, but a very, very big hit on the play. Hodis made the tackle. Watkins came up to make the big hit.
By the way, Hazelwood East lines up on defense. They dare you to pass. Sometimes there might be 8, 9 guys on the line of scrimmage. They say, go ahead, see if you can pass. And, you obviously Hodis paid the price that time for a small pickup, but 2nd and 6 is better than 2nd and 10.
Darrell Watkins, the senior, came up from his defensive back position to put a really bone-crunching hit. And it brings up a 2nd down and 5 from the 35-yard line. The I formation. Pendergast pitches now. Mayer has room on the sideline, the 35, and he's driven out of bounds at about the 38-yard line by Terrell Fletcher, the junior.
7, 8 games ago, you would not have seen that. But ever since Rockhurst lost to Jeff City double overtime, the first meeting of the year, they've really gone to that option. They've challenged Jamie Pendergast to be tough and to run that option. They feel like they can get some yards to either side, outside.
Here's the defense for Rockhurst. As you saw it, they're very big. I should say Rockhurst not on the field yet defensively. But nonetheless, it is a 3rd down and 3. The pro set behind Pendergast. The handoff goes to the first man through. That's Mayer. Breaks one tackle up over the 45, over the 50-yard line, into Hazelwood East territory, down to the 46-yard line where Franklin West comes up to make the play.
Mark Mayer, kind of an invisible back in the fact that he's playing alongside Chris Powell, but he's a solid player, 5'9", 176. He's a senior. He's been around the success of this Rockhurst program, and he knows how to win.
And so Rockhurst into Hazelwood East territory for the first time. They mark it at the 47-yard line. The backs are in the I formation. Pendergast rolling, now throwing deep down the field. Incomplete, intended for his tight end, Tim Mock. In on the coverage was Franklin West from his defensive back position.
Gary, that time he had the fullback Powell open in the flats again, and I think we're going to see a little bit more of that play. Just a play action, a little fake up the middle, and then trying to hit the fullback coming out of the backfield.
Here we see the Hazelwood East defense. Brooks, Thomas, Meyercord, Spiller, and then the linebackers Hunt, Burton, and Clark. The defensive backs, Ward, Watkins, Fletcher, and West, they're a good group as we bring up now a 2nd down and 10 from the 48-yard line. Pendergast pumps and now going deep and well overthrown, intended for a split back, Vince Hodis, but the coverage was good as Darrell Watkins was right on him.
Something a little bit unusual about that play, Jamie Pendergast, pretty much a straight drop that time. They don't do that with him very often. They list him at 5'11" in the program. Jamie's 5'9". if anything, and he simply can't see over the line. They like to roll him to one side or the other so he can get a better view of what's happening. That time he just simply overthrew his receiver. Maybe couldn't see him.
Well, one thing about it is he is taking a three-step drop, so it's a real quick throw. He's going to offset that rush by the Hazelwood East club.
Pendergast on 3rd and 10 finds Hodis, who breaks down to about the 37-yard line. It's going to be very close to a first down, but I do think he got it.
Nice play. They took advantage of the aggressive rush of the Hazelwood East defense by throwing the middle screen.
Hodis very tough to bring down, the 6-foot, 180-pound senior. And fellas, I know that Coach Tony Severino likes to mix up his backfield along the way.
Well, you'll see a lot of different players in there, and primarily quarterback Pendergast will look for his backs in terms of being their primary receivers. Yeah, there'll be a lot of guys in there.
The handoff goes to Powell. We've got a flag on the play. He gets one, maybe two, but we've got a flag as Ron Burton came up from his linebacker position to make the play, but we'll see what the flag is.
Looked like we had motion in the offensive line, Gary, just prior to the snap. The thing about the offensive attack so far in the running game is that they've chosen to run to basically the shark side of their formation, and by doing that, they've taken one linebacker out of the formation. East has moved the linebacker out to the outside.
What a storied career Tony Severino has had at Rockhurst. He's been there for 7 years, 72 wins, 13 losses, and 1 tie. And I know, Dave, he's a legend in Kansas City, like Lenny Dawson.
He really is. You know, his first year at Rockhurst was 83, and he starts off with the state championship. Had one back in 86, 87. Those times, every one of them against Hazelwood Central. They are familiar with the district, but East, of course, they are not. This is the first meeting ever between these two schools.
And so it brings up a 1st and 15 from the 42-yard line. The handoff quickly right up the middle goes to Chris Powell. He gets over the 40 down to the 39, where he stopped on the play. But so far they have tried to keep it on the ground, grinding out the yardage.
And that time they did not run away from the big guys inside. They pretty much went right up the gut, Coach.
No, I don't think they're going to be intimidated by that. They're going to test those kids out and find out how well they can play. One of the things that East is getting with their man-to-man pass defense coverage is great run support from those defensive backs. They're no more than 5 yards off the ball right now.
Charlie Lee is in there at running back. Pendergast back to throw. Looking at it, is picked off. It's picked off by Darnell Clark, who's up over the 30, the 40, and into the 43-yard line, where Josh Seltzer comes up to make the tackle, but we have our first big play of the game.
And emotionally, that has to be a huge lift for this Hazelwood East team. They are not used to being at the Show Me Bowl. They need something to happen good very early. And with Rockhurst moving, a great turnaround for the Spartans.
And so with no score, 8:09 remaining in the first quarter, this is the Missouri State High School Football Network. And Hazelwood East will take over at their own 42-yard line, led by their quarterback, number 15, David Whistler. He's 6'2", 155 pounds, a junior. And he brings them up to the line. Look for Ronaldo Gallagher, number 7. You see him in the flanker position. He's the guy they love to go to. Nothing on the first play as big number 39, Sean Connor, comes in to snuff it out.
I'd say this is really quite a story. Sean Connor spent 2 days in the hospital this week on antibiotics with blood poisoning. He was lifting weights, pinched a place in his leg a couple of weeks ago, came up with blood poisoning. First play, I guess he's okay.
I guess he's okay. There we see the offense for Hazelwood. They're big, they're strong, and again, they like to go to number 7, Ronaldo Gallagher. And take a look, Jack, at the backfield combination here as Whistler looks up and goes deep, and incomplete, intended for Gallagher, but a great defensive play by Vince Hodis, who comes up from his safety position to make the play.
Well, I tell you, Hazelwood is going to give you a lot of offensive sets. That time they lined up an unbalanced line right with a two-back set, with Gallagher lined up at the left end as a tight end at 5'7", and I think that's stretching it, 135 pounds. He's an awesome tight end, but he'll get deep on you.
As you saw, Whistler, the quarterback, Hunt and Fletcher in the backfield. They run it a counter option, and it goes to, Gallagher, who is up over the 45 to the 46-yard line, where he'll be short of a first down. It'll bring up a 3rd down.
And Chris Powell, of course, in on it again. He's the leading tackler, as we mentioned in the pregame. 5'11", 217. Not great height for a linebacker, but he always seems to be around the football.
I checked myself on that. It brings up a 4th down. And so Hazelwood will be punting the ball away. In to do the punting, Ron Burton. From his own 35-yard line, it's a low kick, backing up Powell, who will let it roll, and deep into Rockhurst territory at the 8-yard line, where it goes out of bounds. Let's take a break. We've got 6:43 remaining in the first quarter. No score. You could see the excitement in the Hazelwood East fans. A 46-yard punt by Ron Burton, and fellas, it has Rockhurst deep in their own territory now.
Well, Hazelwood East did not brag about its kicking game, but Burton did an outstanding job, and Coach brought up the point, if you let the ball bounce, bad things might happen.
The I formation goes to number 31, Mark Merrer, out to the 10-yard line where he's tripped up, but there's a flag on the play. And it looks like we have some motion.
Yeah, we have motion in the backfield. Dave, you're right about catching the ball. You know, all coaches want those deep backs to catch the punt, but particularly on AstroTurf, that ball will give you about a 20-yard roll each time you let that thing hit the ground.
The referee's trying to see if the play will be taken, and indeed the penalty will, where it backs it up inside the 5-yard line all the way back to the 4. Well, Rockhurst will be deep in their own territory, but they like working out of there, Dave. They're a very confident football team.
Well, they feel like they can go 96 yards for a touchdown. Actually, this is the kind of a situation they had hoped to get Hazelwood East into. Play field position with the kicking game, make the Spartans go a long way. This time the Hawklets have to try.
The back's in the end zone. It goes to the first man through Powell, who gets very little, taken down maybe the 6-yard line, but in on the play is Meyercourt, number 46, and Thomas, number 79.
And obviously this is a part of the field where you want to be careful. You don't want to make a mistake, give the ball away, and have the other team 5-10 yards away from the end zone.
Well, that's right. Right now, I think Coach Severino is thinking about getting as much distance as he can from that goal line and then be satisfied with a punt and play defense.
2nd down and 14, 6 minutes to go. And it's handed off again to Powell, who gets out to about the 8-yard line, where it will bring up a 3rd down and long. And a very big play here, I would say, in the early going.
Well, I think big play on every down early in the ball game because these kids are very nervous. I mean, the excitement is still pumping high in these kids, and early mistakes can be turning points of this ball game.
Clock continues to move here in the first quarter. 5:30 to go. And this is a big play as we've got a 3rd down and 9 coming up for Rockhurst. They're at their own 9-yard line. Pendergast again, the quarterback, rolls back. Big rush coming at a fumble. A fumble recovered by, and it's a touchdown. Jumping on the ball in the end zone is number 75, Roderick Spiller. And we've got our first really big play of the game.
I'll tell you, big play, the punt that was not fielded, the penalty that sets the ball back, and then, of course, a big sack on the backside by that very aggressive defensive rush. And who's the rusher?
Randy Hunt in on the play.
Well, when you're in a 3rd and 9 situation, obviously, you can bring the rush. Take a gamble, blitz one of those outside backers, and Hunt just came around, and Pendergast never saw him coming, blindsided him.
Dan Kastning completes it with the extra point, and so it's 7-0. Hazelwood East on the board first with 5:16 to play in the first quarter. Don't forget, you're watching this game on the Missouri State High School. And Kastning was getting ready to kick that one off when the ball blew off the tee. 7-0, and a big hit by Randy Hunt to cause that fumble.
And 6.5 minutes into the football game, Rockhurst with 2 turnovers. You know, part of their big success this year has been the giveaway takeaway. They're a plus 13. They have been the recipient of more turnovers than they have caused or created. And today they're already in a 2-turnover hole and down by a touchdown.
Kastning getting ready again as Hodis and Powell are back deep for Rockhurst. And it will be taken by Powell at the 5. He's up over the 15, the 20, breaks through to the middle, up over the 30-yard line, and finally dragged down at about the 34-yard line by Mitchell. And that is where Hazelwood East will start defensively and where Rockhurst will take over and try to tie this game up.
I'll tell you, Gary and Coach, here's Powell has to scare you to death. He carries that football out like a loaf of bread, even on the kickoff. When he gets into the open field, he does the same thing. When he's in a crowd, he'll protect it pretty good, but boy, he holds that ball way out.
It's 1st and 10 now at the 34-yard line. The back's in the pro set behind Jamie Pendergast, who hands off to Lee, who breaks one tackle up over the 38 to the 39, even the 40-yard line, where he's finally brought down on the play by Darrell Watkins.
If you looked at the stats right now, they'd be a little bit misleading in terms of time of possession. Rockhurst has really dominated the football, and the fact that they have had the ball much longer than East. However, 2 turnovers and, of course, fumbling down near the goal line, and they find themselves down by a touchdown, and the Spartans have to feel pretty good. I mean, they've got to feel a little bit more comfortable.
You got it. They snapped the ball 3 times from offense and lead 7-0.
Pendergast back to throw again, a big rush on, and Pendergast is down inside the 25-yard line. Ronnie Ward, the big linebacker, came up to make the play.
Earlier, Hunt came from the backside and outside backer position, blindsided Pendergast. That time, the pressure pretty much right up the middle.
But I'll tell you, Hazelwood East has made a career of rushing the quarterback this year. They have no problems putting 8 people in a rush from time and just covering man-to-man with 3.
This will bring up a 3rd and 23 from the 25-yard line. The handoff to Lee. He has room to the 35. Tries to get outside. He does to the 40. A first down, the 50 into Hazelwood East territory to the 45-yard line where Darnell Clark comes up to make the play, but a big play by Lee.
Great recovery call. The nice draw. You know, here those guys got their ears back and they've got 1 sack, and now they're all sitting back wanting another sack. So they took advantage of that aggressive Hazelwood East rush.
And you talk about the big game advantage. They know what it's like to be here. They know what it's like to be behind, and they don't panic. They come right back with a solid call, and it works for big yardage.
Nice run by Lee as he broke one tackle. Terrell Fletcher had a chance on him and missed. And so it will be 1st down and 10 from the 46-yard line. The backs in the I formation. Powell and Lee remain in there. And the pitch goes to Powell. Inside the 40, still on his feet. He's got running room. Cuts back to the 24-yard line where he's brought down from behind by Franklin West and Darnell Clark.
Well, Powell did a nice job that time reading his block, seeing where the pressure was, being able to cut back the other way. And all of a sudden, you know, Rockhurst finds himself in good position. As you see, Powell breaking tackles. Nice, picks up a block, waits for a man to get downfield, cuts back, takes care of the football, and it's 1st and 10 inside the 25 now.
22-yard gain for Powell. It's 1st and 10 at the 24. The pitch goes to the same man. To the 25, maybe the 24-yard line, where he's tripped up on the play.
One of the things coaches always like to see is after a touchdown scored against you, is for your offensive football team to come on the field and make things happen, come right back and make a nice show of aggressive line play on the part of Rockhurst right now.
That will bring up a 2nd down and 7. I correct myself. The ball down to the 21-yard line, where again it's the I formation behind Pendergast. He fakes it and hands the other way now. Vince Hodis on the reverse to the 18-yard line, where he's knocked down by Terrell Fletcher.
Well, they run Hodis out of a slot a lot of times, and they'll do a misdirection or an inside reverse that way. And you would never know watching him perform today that he's got a broken bone in his foot. But, you know, so far he looks okay.
Well, he certainly hasn't done anything yet to indicate that he's going to have a difficult time.
Rick Gorzinski's defense really being tested for the first time today. Pendergast looking right, throwing right, complete to his tight end, Tim Mark, who drops the football. And I would think that Hazelwood East has recovered. They have indeed, as Darrell Watkins comes up with about 3rd turnover of the day now, and we're not even out of the 1st quarter for Rockhurst.
Boy, that is really unusual. They called Tim Mock the Iceman. In the overtime win over Jeff City, caught 2 touchdowns in the overtime, then recovered a fumble in the end zone, which ended up being the game winner. This is a guy that you want to try to get the ball to at any time, but especially at a big time. That time, ball knocked out of his hands.
Just
a good job
out
by the defense. Yeah.
Defensive man came up and just brought that left hand through and stripped the ball clean.
Well, if the field had been tilting this way, it would have rolled out of bounds, but it's pretty even.
Terrell Fletcher knocked it away, and Darrell Watkins picked it up. And so Hazelwood East will start from their own 18. The reverse goes to Gallagher. They've got us all fooled on that play, gentlemen.
Well, that's their misdirect, and a lot of people can be fooled, but I'll tell you, somebody wasn't fooled, was the Rockhurst defense. Not only did they read it well, but they reacted extremely well to it. Very aggressive defensive play.
The handoff went to Fletcher right up the middle. It will bring up a 2nd down and about 11, about a 1-yard loss on that play. As we've got 1:20 to go in the 1st quarter. And Hazelwood East continues to lead Rockhurst 7-0 as Hazelwood East has caused 3 turnovers so far today. The pitch out goes to Fletcher, who again is stopped right at the line of scrimmage as a gang of Rockhurst tacklers in on the play. Ewenfield is in there. Efforts is in there.
You know, coaches always trade film before a big game like this. When Tony Severino looked at the Hazelwood East film, he thought there was something wrong with the speed. It looked like it was in high speed. The kids moved so quickly on the Hazelwood side, and all of a sudden he realized that they were just that quick, and he really got the attention of his players because of the great quickness on this team, which they haven't been able to take advantage of yet, but it could happen at any time.
Well, he got their attention because Rockhurst right now looks very quick on defense.
On 3rd and 10, the handoff goes right up the middle to Randy Hunt, who will be well short of a 1st down. And so Hazelwood East will be put into a punting mode.
Well, that's a nice recovery by the Rockhurst defense. You know, the turnovers can kill you, particularly if your opponent can take advantage of it. But this time, of course, Rockhurst plays a great defense on this series, and they're going to get the ball right back.
And we talked about the game of field position. Right now, the Hawklets have a pretty good chance to get the ball at about midfield, try again on offense to not give the ball up.
Ron Burton to do the punting from his own 15, and it's blocked. It's partially blocked, and Hazelwood East makes their big first mistake of the day as Rockhurst has it inside the 25-yard line.
Josh Selzer waiting there almost for a fair catch as the Hawklets put on a tremendous pressure, and you see a hand. That might have been, was it Hodis that came through there?
Looked like Hodis.
Yeah, Selzer waiting, and the Hawklets make something happen. They don't have to start at midfield. Now they get to start inside the 25.
Well, you know, coaches, we're always talking about big games being important, scoring points, but playing great defense and special teams play are oftentimes the key to winning the big ball game.
And the first quarter's come to an end with Hazelwood East leading 7-0. Rockhurst is on the move. This is the Missouri 5A Football Championship. Welcome back as we get ready to start the second quarter of play. Gary Apple along with Dave Stewart and Jack Jones. And fellas, I don't think we expected to see so many turnovers in the early going.
Not at all. Rockhurst has done such a nice job all year of protecting the football. But remember, they're only down by a touchdown. It's the start of the second quarter, too.
And it's 1st and 10 from the 24. The handoff goes to Powell, who sneaks a yard out and maybe 2, where Darnell Clark, number 30, the linebacker, comes up to make the play.
Chris Powell is a player that will be recruited by college football teams, Division I, all across the country. Teams will be a little bit concerned about his size. He's only 5'11", and if you talk about a guy playing at linebacker, you want somebody a little bit bigger than that. But he runs a 4.6, and he runs it all the time. At practice, when he gets out of bed in the morning, he's a real tough kid.
Pendergast looks to throw under pressure, gets it away, incomplete. Intended for his tight end, Tim Mock, number 84. And Mock is a good one. And not only good on the football field, but a 3.9 student in the classroom.
Right. His dad was an offensive line coach for the Kansas City Chiefs 3 years before Coach Marty Schottenheimer took over. Did not rehire him on his staff. Tim Mock's been bothered by a sprained ankle for the past 3 weeks. And, boys, those can be tough every time you go out and play. Take a bad cut, take a hit, and you can be done.
A big 3rd down and 9 from the 23. As Pendergast looks to throw and now sends one over the middle complete to Mark Mayer. And that will be enough for a 1st down.
Gary, there's an excellent show by the Rockhurst team in taking advantage of the man-to-man cover, hitting the back, coming out of the backfield. You see the left halfback kind of delaying and then coming up underneath the coverage.
And
nice poised play by the Rockhurst people.
Yeah, that's what the Hawklets like to do. Throw to the backs out of the backfield, throw to their tight end. The split ends, the wideout guys, they don't throw to very often.
Weifert and Hodis are split wide at the top of the screen. We've got, I thought it was a fumble, but it's not. Powell's tripped up, and apparently one of his knee guards go flying as Randy Hunt came up to put on the big hit.
Somebody lost some equipment. We got to see who that belonged to.
Let's take a look at this again. I thought it was Powell, maybe his neck guard. Let's watch it. Yeah, that was it, the neck guard.
Well, if you're going to run wide against Hazelwood East, you're going to have to really control the corner play. And if you run at Randy Hunt out there, you better have somebody on him at the line of scrimmage, because when he reads flow, he's coming. I mean, he's just going to blitz across the line of scrimmage right now.
And you talk about the role of the split end. They might not throw to them that often. However, if you are going to run wide, you expect the guy that's split out wide to make a block on that corner. At least hold him off so you can get your back to the line of scrimmage, get him into the open field.
2nd down, 18. Lee and Powell behind Pendergast, and we've got a whistle, I believe, before the snap of the ball. The officials today, Dave Plyman, Dick Weiser, Randy Sells, the linesman. And we've got encroachment on Hazelwood East.
Tony Severino in his 7th year at Rockhurst, a college teammate of Bob Stoll, who, of course, is the first-year head coach right here at the University of Missouri. Tony was quite a player and has had a pretty good coaching career. In fact, he learned from one of the best, Dick Purdy, years ago when he was an assistant there at Shawnee Mission West. Purdy now, of course, at Lee Summit High School, where he, year in and year out, does a tremendous job with that program.
We could see big number 79, Henry Thomas, on the defense. 6'4", 300 pounds. It brings up a second down and 13. The handoff goes to Powell, and he's hit right at the line of scrimmage by Corley Brooks, the 6'8", 352-pound defensive tackle. At least he's listed at 352.
Well, you know, I talked to Coach about that a couple of days. He's, well, 370, 375. And consider it was Thanksgiving 2 days ago. What do you think, 380?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, you know, we don't have the cattle scale nearby, so we can't weigh him in. But, you know,
but he moves well.
No, he does. He does. He's a very active football player.
We were saying, Jack, where do you weigh a guy like that?
Well, in St. Louis, we take him to the East St. Louis stockyards. You know.
That'll bring up a 3rd and 13 from the 13-yard line. Pendergast rolls left, looks left, under pressure, lets it go, completed, and a touchdown. Charlie Lee is in, loses the football, but he's in for the score.
Great job that time. Charlie Lee was wide open. Pendergast took his time, made sure he got him the football because there was nobody around him. You can see him coming out of the backfield. What happened, Coach? Somebody missed an assignment.
Well, here's the deal. We've got 3rd and long, and everybody in the park is thinking pass. Everybody up front for Hazelwood East, and they're all thinking quarterback sack. We get a play fake inside to hold the inside linebackers, run the defensive back off with the wide receiver, and bring the back out of the backfield. He's wide open.
And so if Todd Powell can complete the extra point, we'll have a tie game, and indeed he does. And so we are tied at 7-all with 9 minutes and 37 seconds to play in the first half. This is the Missouri. There it is. Hey, hey, we love our Suburban North. 9 minutes and 37 seconds to play in the first half. We are tied at 7 as Rockhurst has tied it up.
One thing that was interesting on that extra point, Gary, Vince Hodis, who's been the kicker all year, was the holder. So he's kind of back there as a tutor for Chris Powell, who may have a better leg but is a little more erratic.
This is Ronaldo Gallagher at the 3, out to the 15, tries to get to the outside and taken down over the 20 to the 22-yard line where Merrer is in on the tackle, number 31.
Take another look at Charlie Lee. Coach, you talked about him sneaking out of the backfield, and Pendergast did a good job just getting him the football because there was nobody around.
Yeah, well-executed play, and, you know, the rollout is a very effective play for Rockhurst because they get away from the big rush, the people inside, and with the height of the quarterback, with Pendergast only being, as you said, about 5'9", it's very important to get him outside that rush.
Plus, consider he's rolling left, and he's a right-handed passer. That's a tough throw.
Whistler looking for Gallagher, has him over the 30, where he slips down at the 33-yard line. Merrer once again in on the play, along with Travis Huenfeld from his left corner position.
And we've seen a couple of kids go down simply slipping. We know the field is not wet. Coach, what do you tell kids when they play on turf, maybe for the first time?
Well, you know, one of the things is that you try to bring them out early and get used to the footing. Again, one of the unusual aspects of this field is it is sand-filled, and that sand comes up out of there, and it gets slick. And when we played here last year, we had kids putting tape on the bottom of their foot, actually try to get better footing.
Going in motion to the left is Jonathan Mitchell. The handoff goes straight up the middle, and there will not be much there as Josh Selzer, number 66, quickly closes the hole.
You know, in the early going, although we've had some success running the ball from both clubs, the real success both clubs have had is throwing the ball and throwing the ball across the field. And I think you're going to see a little bit more of that out of Hazelwood East. They're about a 50-50 ball club, run-throw, but their throwing ability to me, has been very amazing all year long. They've stretched the defense both up and down the field and crosswise. So I would look on this play. I'd be very surprised if we don't see the ball in the air.
Gallagher is at the top of the screen. Whistler back to throw, looking for his favorite receiver, has it again into Rockhurst territory, down to the 46-yard line, where Huenfeld once again comes up to make the tackle.
One of the things about that catch by Gallagher, when you split the zone like that, you have to leave your feet. You know you're going to get hit. You just don't know how close the defender is, and you don't want to take a peek. Gallagher did not. There was no one around him, so he was able to turn it downfield and get good yardage down to the 46. That's a tough little play.
Yeah, it's a tough play, but he's a tough kid. I tell you, he plays much bigger than his size would indicate.
Gallagher, just a little guy, 5'7", 135, but he plays bigger out there. The pitch goes to Fletcher, who is up over the 45 to about the 43-yard line, where number 34, Matt Sweeney, came up from his linebacker position to help on the play along with number 29, Kevin Efforts.
And what you might not have been able to see on that play was the nose tackle, Sean Connor, go right for the quarterback. Rockhurst talked about punishing the players on East. They want to make them go the long distance of the field, 80 yards for a score, but try to punish the guys, wear them down. Hazelwood can strike so quickly, they don't want to give up that 50, 40-yard run.
That will bring up a 2nd down and 7. Whistler back to throw, looking and incomplete to his flanker, Kyle Robinson, who was right around the first down marker, but could not hang on.
Man, talk about by a fingertip. He pretty much just got it by a fingernail even to knock that one away.
Well, I'll tell you, as the game goes on, I think you're going to be more and more impressed with David Whistler. That was a very well executed play and a very quick release. And, you know, for a youngster 6'2" and 155 pounds, he has good mobility and he's very durable.
3rd down and 7. Whistler looking for who else but Gallagher, who makes the catch at the 32-yard line, I should say, and that is enough for another Hazelwood East 1st down.
And we talked about it before, but we'll talk about it.
Whistler and Gallagher, so far the combination is we've got a 1st and 10 now with 6:55 to play in the first half, and we've got a loose ball but a flag down on the play. Rockhurst recovered the football, number 70, Chris Sexton, but I believe the flag and the whistle were there first.
Yeah, that may be a tough call for Rockhurst. It looks like the penalty was before the snap.
Motion on the Hazelwood East side, and so it will bring up a 1st and 15, but a break, I would say, on the play.
If you notice, Eric Berg, who was just to the left of Tony Severino there, played at the University of Missouri. In fact, he was the MVP in 78, 79, Hall of Fame game, Liberty Bowl, most valuable player as a defensive guy in both games. So he had a good career here. Probably nice for him to come back to Thoreau Field again.
Gallagher wide to the right. You see Kyle Robinson at the lower part of your screen. He's the flanker. Whistler in trouble, looking deep, and that could be picked off. No, it's caught by Robinson, who takes it inside the 10 to the 5-yard line, maybe the 6.
Well, that's one of those plays that you have nightmares about, that ball that you bat up into the air. And Mark Mayer was there for the coverage. Obviously, he would have liked to have been able to pull that ball down. Instead, he tips it up and gives the receiver an opportunity to make the catch. And that's exactly what happened.
Dave, another thing not seen on that is as Whistler released the ball, he took a tremendous hit and didn't get a follow-through on the ball. Just enough, perhaps, to get the tip downfield. The missed interception, of course, in the reception. What a break for Hazelwood East.
Kyle Robinson came up with a tipped football, and it brings up a 1st and goal with 6:28 to play in the first half. The handoff goes right up the middle to Hunt, who gets a yard down to about the 6-yard line.
And what's interesting about this series, we've talked a lot about the tremendous quickness in the backfield, and yet it's the passing that has been the main part of this drive. Look at it again as Mayer knocks it up into the air, and Robinson alertly there to keep his eyes focused on the ball. Good hand-eye coordination to pull it in.
Well, I'll tell you, we're always talking about this being a game of inches, but that one may be by the slightest length of a fingernail there.
Jonathan Mitchell is now into the game in the backfield. 3 backs in there. Whistler looking, hitting Robinson. Will he get in? Indeed he will. Touchdown, Hazelwood East. Kyle Robinson from David Whistler, and Hazelwood East has taken the lead again. Let's watch it again from the end zone.
And you've got a couple of juniors doing damage there that time to Rockhurst. Robinson able to stretch out, and a great effort to get into the end zone.
Well, just a tremendous throw by David Whistler. I mean, he put some heat on that ball because there was a defender nearby, and if he doesn't throw it with that kind of velocity on it, that ball gets tipped or intercepted.
Dan Kessling puts through the extra point, and Hazelwood East has once again gone on top as they look for their first Missouri 5A football championship. And so with 5:44 to go in the first half, it's 14-7.
Guys, you know, we're midway second period, and we've got 3 touchdowns already. I mean, that could be a final score for this type of game. You talk about one team with 5 shutouts this year on defense, Hazelwood East with 3. So both teams
have done a lot of damage in terms of holding the other team off the scoreboard.
I tell you, this could be a really exciting game. It is already, but the ability of these two teams to come back after successive scores and just one of those at-your-face scores and get back in the ball game, switch that momentum around has been tremendous.
Casting with a very poor short kick taken at the 20-yard line by Mark Mayer, who tries to get to the middle of the field, has some good room and gets out to about the 36-yard line after a very short kick by Casting.
Well, we're going to take a look at the touchdown one more time. A little play fake, the belly fake to the fullback, and then just nice timing. That's where you want that pass. You don't want to throw it to the inside where that defensive player has a chance for the interception. On that play, if anybody was going to catch the ball, it was Robinson. Nobody else had an opportunity. Got the ball out to him, was able to maintain his balance and get into the end zone.
And so Rockhurst will take over now. 1st and 10 from the 35. Pendergast keeps the football. Cuts to the left sideline, up over the 50. It's a foot race now to the 40, and he's knocked out of bounds at about the 32-yard line. Coming up to make the play, Terrell Fletcher. And if Fletcher didn't make it, I don't think anybody would have.
I'll tell you, there's a great play. There's an option play that's absolutely going to go nowhere. I mean, absolutely nowhere. Everybody is covered except the great athletic ability of Pendergast. He turns that ball back inside, comes across the grain, and he's got enough speed to outrun the secondary.
Jamie Pendergast with the big play takes it deep into Hazelwood East territory. Good foot speed by Fletcher to knock him out of bounds and save a touchdown. 5 minutes, 19 seconds to go in the first half. Hazelwood East continues to lead 14-7 after the recent touchdown by Robinson. The back's in the pro set. 1st and 10. Pendergast looks to throw, completes it to Mock, who's driven out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. Franklin West up to make the play from his defensive back position.
Well, that's a great throw. I mean, he is covered. I mean, Pendergast just unloaded that ball in there, and what great hands by the tight end. I mean, that ball, if that ball is thrown any lighter than that, that's a big problem for Rockhurst.
Well, Severino projects him as an outside linebacker in college, but he says it's a shame to waste hands like that. Just not quite big enough to be a Division I tight end.
And so now we've got a 2nd down and 4. The handoff up the middle. Certainly enough for a first down as Charlie Lee takes it down to about the 17-yard line. And let's take a break now for a station identification. The line.
On the previous play, a nice little delay and a trap in the middle. And who did they trap? But all 352 pounds of Corley Brooks.
The handoff goes up the middle, a loose football, but I believe they're calling it a dead football. And let's pause now for 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
This is CBS.
And so we'll have a 2nd and 10 coming up from the 17-yard line. Fellas, we've really been blessed with a great afternoon for football. Very little wind here today.
Yeah, Coach and I have been up in the booth the last 3 years, and boy, this is much better. We'll take this. Let's order one of these for next year.
Pendergast rolling right, looking right, a little bit low. Charlie Lee cannot hang on as Robinson was around. Also Darnell Clark in the vicinity, and so that will bring up a 3rd and 10.
Well, Dave, there's a repeat play of the touchdown play, only going the opposite way. A good fake in the inside to hold the inside linebackers, run the defensive back off with the wide receiver, and bring the back out of the backfield.
Mark Mirror checks into the game, and Tony Severino likes to bring in his plays with his tailback. He'll make a lot of substitutions in that department. And so a big 3rd down and 10 with 4:11 to go. The ball sitting at the 17-yard line. The back's in the I formation. Pendergast fakes it, rolling right under pressure, looks for a receiver, throws, and incomplete. Incomplete intended for Tim Mock, but good coverage on the play.
That is very, very reminiscent of a play that we saw in the 4-overtime game against Jeff City, where Pendergast, in I believe the 2nd or 3rd overtime, had to roll to his right before falling out of bounds, was able to throw back to Tim Mock in the end zone for a big touchdown. That time, the throw a little bit low, and this will be our first chance to see Chris Powell, a junior. As we talked about him replacing Vince Hodes, he'll kick the field goal, or at least try to, from 34 yards.
And so Powell will try it from 34 yards away. The snap is bad, and the play is completely messed up by Rockhurst. And so Hazelwood East will take over. Jonathan Mitchell in on the play. And so with 3 minutes and 59 seconds to play in the first half, and Hazelwood leading 14-7, this is the Missouri State High School Football Network. 5-yard line after the goofed field goal attempt. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, consider a couple of things. First of all, Vince Hodis, normally the kicker, that time the holder, Todd Powell the kicker, and he never had an opportunity.
David Whistler the quarterback, and the ball's loose on the field. At the 34, it's still loose. There's a chase for the football. Let's see who's got it. Rockhurst believes they do, and indeed they do. Rockhurst makes the big play happen. They will take over at the 34-yard line as the ball snuck out on the handoff.
Well, we've had momentum twist and turn a couple of different times already, and as Rockhurst was denied on the field goal opportunity, they get the ball right back. And really 5, 6, 7 guys in the white shirts had a chance to get the loose ball that squirted out way back at the 22, and as you can see, goes across the 30, and no telling who finally got it, because again the ball comes free.
I'll tell you, not only do we have 11 white shirts after it, but if we could see a little bit above the film there were about 5 black-shirted coaches who were just about to jump on the field.
Kevin Efforts recovered the fumble, and Powell takes it over to the 32-yard line. That last play was certainly set up by Sean Connor, who put the big hit on Whistler to pop the ball free.
Can you coach that? Is there something that you can tell kids when a ball's loose like that and everybody's scrambling?
Well, one thing you try to do is you try to roll with the ball. You don't jump on the ball on top of you. We all teach our kids fumble recovery drills where we roll into the ball and roll over with it. But I tell you, the turf creates a different bounce of the ball. It's something the kids aren't used to.
Second down and 5. Pendergast back to throw again, gets protection, completes it over the middle to Tim Mock, where he is met immediately well short of the first down. Franklin West and Darnell Clark make the tackle, and that will bring up a 3rd down and 5.
One thing we haven't seen yet, but we probably will at some point, Jamie Pendergast has a knack of being able to roll out, buy himself some more time. Tim Mock does a great job going to the open area. He has a knack for being able to find a void where the defenders are not, and Jamie is able to get him the ball. That time they pick up yardage down outside the 25.
Brian Weiford brings the play into Jamie Pendergast on a 3rd and 2. The handoff goes up the middle, and that will certainly be plenty for a first down, but we have a fumble. The ball's loose, and it goes to Hazelwood East. And Jeff, that's just what we were talking about before the game, a late whistle in high school football.
Late whistle and the ground in high school football can cause a fumble. At a lot of levels, this may not be a fumble, but let's take a look at it and see where we can see the ball go away.
Powell has the ball right here. He's got 3 guys on his back, and then look what happens. It squirts out.
He got it stripped away. He was not on the ground yet.
Yeah, Franklin West was the guy that was able to reach a hand in there and get just enough of it to pull it back. And a 4th turnover for the Hawklets inside 2 minutes of the first half.
You know, one of the things about that play, even though we had the fumble, they were quite successful in running what we call the bubble of that defense. That 4-4 front with those 2 big tackles in there and those linebackers playing off. They ran right between those 2 tackles, did a nice job of sealing them both away for critical yardage.
Not a lot for those guys to cheer about so far, as their Hawklets are down 14-7, but it's a long game, and there's no reason for anybody to hang ahead on either side.
Going in motion now is Robinson. The handoff goes to the second man through. Fletcher has some running room up over the 25, over the 30-yard line, where he's met by a stack of white jerseys. And that will be very close to a Hazelwood East first down.
Well, Hazelwood East had Rockhurst outnumbered at the point of attack. They came up with an unbalanced line right, and Rockhurst did not recognize and shift down. And all of a sudden, we had two-on-one blocking scheme at the corner.
And so we'll get a chance here to see the Hazelwood East minute 35 and ticking here in the first half. They held on to a 7-point lead. It's 14-7. East over Rockhurst. First down and 10 from the 30. Their own 30. Whistler drops back, looks incomplete, intended for Jonathan Mitchell.
And I suppose what's really impressive about this Hazelwood East team, they start 7 juniors, 2 sophomores, and only 2 seniors. A lot of these guys are going to be back next year. I asked Coach, I said, hey, you guys going to be really unbelievable next year? Because, well, a lot of people say that about us now. Well, I guess so. You score 40 points a game, 400 yards a game, considered one of the top 10 all-time offenses in high school football. That's pretty good.
They beat Lafayette a week ago 33-18 to get to this game. And now it's 2nd down and 10 from the 30. Robinson goes in motion again. Whistler goes back to throw, looking for Gallagher. Well overthrown and picked off by Vince Hodis. Hodis dropped from behind, but not till after he makes the big play.
Well, I'll tell you, the fortunate thing was Gallagher was able to make the tackle because there were white shirts all up and down the side of it. It looked like a picket on the punt return about to happen.
Watch it from the end zone camera here.
Vince Hodis plays center field, and he plays it well. Watch him just backing up, and as you can see, 3 white shirts. Gallagher the only guy. Chris Powell was going down looking for somebody to block. Hodis can run, and he no doubt would have picked up some good yardage, but Gallagher perhaps a touchdown-saving tackle.
1st and 10 from the 43, about a minute to play in the first half, and a big hit delivered on the play as number 30, Darnell Clark, came up from his linebacker position to put the big hit on.
Well, that's one of those plays. If you're the guy that got hit, you want to be able to pop right back up right away and say, yeah, I'm okay, but that is not the case. The ball carrier still on the ground, and they're going to go out and take a look, make sure he's okay.
You know, that's one of the few times today that we've seen one of the inside linebackers on a true blitz. They'll bring him once in a while. He catches that one right, and, of course, when he's coming at 200 pounds, he is a strong, aggressive football player.
Well, the ball carrier is wiggling his feet, but he is certainly not about to get up at this point as he is surrounded by coaches, the team doctor taking a look. And that's one of those things when you talk about heads hitting, that's one of the frightening things about football at any level, I guess.
Well, this is never easy to see. Hopefully it will not be serious. I hate to speculate as to who is down on the field, but we believe it is Mark Neubauer, the 5'9" senior, but I am not sure. That hit by Clark, really bone-chilling. We could feel it up here on the blitz. We've got 50 seconds to play in the first half. Hazelwood East holding on to a 14-7 lead. As you can see, Tony Severino concerned on the sidelines, and certainly we're all concerned.
Obviously, yeah, above everything else, you're concerned about your kids, the health of your kids. Winning is great, but boy, you sure don't want anybody to get hurt seriously.
It is indeed Neubauer who is now up to his feet. Stay with us at halftime. We'll have plenty of interviews to keep your interest. And there we see Neubauer. I would imagine as much as anything, he was completely stunned by the hit. It was so quick, I don't think he even saw Clark coming.
Yeah, and I think there's a possibility we're looking at a double hit because Clark hits him in the front and bowls him back, and then he takes the impact of the AstroTurf. I mean, that's a little bit of the unyielding aspect of the turf that none of us enjoy.
Neubauer looking very woozy coming off the field, but nonetheless, it'll be 2nd and 13 from just shy of the 40-yard line. Pendergast trying to work the 2-minute drill, looks over the middle, tipped and incomplete. I believe it was Clark again who got his fingertips on the ball. Maybe
the pass
Fletcher.
from Pendergast intended.
Pendergast paid the price for staying in that pocket. He did a good job of sitting there, but he did get hit as he released the ball.
And the defense has to shake its head a little bit, thinking that might have been an opportunity for turnover number 5. They've already given the ball away 4 times, has Rockhurst and Hazelwood East with another chance there, trying to hold on. 43 seconds remaining here in the first half with the Spartans leading by a 14-7 count. 3rd and 13 now.
43 seconds to play in the first half. The backs in the pro set as Pendergast goes back to throw under pressure. Incomplete, intended for Merrill, who wanted a pass interference call, but he will not get one.
Well, he wanted holding, actually. I think he thought he got grabbed coming out of off the line of scrimmage.
And so Pendergast will go off the field, could not move the football. And so with 39 seconds to go, Hazelwood East will get one more chance to possibly put some more points on the board before going in at the half.
And for the first time today, we will see Todd Powell in a punting role. He has, as we said before, a stronger leg than Vince Hodis. However, he does not get the ball away as quickly. We'll see if the Spartans perhaps pick that up on film and try to block it, but they do not.
Franklin West will field it as it's a very good kick. He takes it at his own 10-yard line, slips down.
Well, that's a great defense for Rockhurst. That is the turf, the slippery turf, because Gallagher is the man you want with the ball in his hands on the punt return.
Well, that's the third time we've seen Gallagher slip down today.
Yeah. Because he weighs so darn much. He just can't.
Was it 135 soaking wet?
Yeah. Rocks in his pockets, the whole bit. Okay, Coach, 31 seconds to go on the half clock ticking. You just let it run out.
Well, I think you let it run out. You know, you're ahead now, and the one thing you don't want is what you've had before down here is a turnover.
Clock continuing to move at 15 seconds. The handoff goes straight up the middle. Hunt has some running room, takes it over the 23, the 24-yard line, where he's brought down on the play by Travis Ewenfeld.
Well, that's a pretty safe play. I mean, as safe as you can run, the fullback trap up the middle, and he almost breaks the thing.
Yeah, and you start to wonder if the Rockhurst guys were thinking about exactly that. Yeah, go ahead, run out the clock. Let us get into the locker room and regroup here. That time they could have got burned for a long one.
All right, but now let me play devil's advocate. 9 seconds to go. They're out of their end zone. How about the big pass now, Coach?
Well, if you're asking me, I don't throw it, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised to see Hazelwood throw the ball, because they have a great deal of confidence in their ability to move the ball down the field with a forward pass.
Well, Rick Gorzinski says his quarterback can throw the ball 60 yards in the air. And so it wouldn't be surprising to let him see it go right here. We see Hunt here on the last play with some really tough running.
He's hit behind the line of scrimmage and able to break that tackle. Got a nice screen block from the official.
Which never hurts.
Yeah, Vince Hodes tried to undress him there. Connor did hit him 3-4 yards in the backfield, but he was able to keep going. You know, as I look at the scoreboard, 14-7, I can't recall, but perhaps once this year, all year, when Rockhurst was behind in a football game, and that was the first game of the year that they lost 28-3.
And so much for the long pass, as Whistler just drops to his knee, and that will end the first half as the clock expires here. So we've had a very interesting first half here. Hazelwood East is leading up by a score of 14-7. We have had a lot of turnovers. Once again, Hazelwood East leading Rockhurst 14-7 at
this declaration. Sack and subsequent fumble and touchdown in the first quarter. That's a difference in the ball game right now.
Well, you know, we talked about the Jeff City semifinal game before overtime. I asked him Monday at practice, are your kids going to be able to put this in the past? He says, well, I'll tell you this, we couldn't play them today, couldn't play them tomorrow. We do have to realize that there is another game for it to matter. You got to win one more time to get the big trophy, and of course the Show Me Bowl. Talked about the team of the decade. This would be their 5th title of the 1980s, but they are a couple of quarters away from realizing that dream, and of course they find themselves in a touchdown deficit, which they have to try to overcome.
Yeah, and the opposite of that, of course, you got a very young, hungry Hazelwood East club, a club that sat in North County of St. Louis for years, being the bridesmaid to Hazelwood Central. They've had outstanding football teams, but couldn't get by the Hazelwood Central routine. And now that they're here, I think they're going to be very disappointed if they don't go back with that trophy.
Jack, what did Rick Gorzinski tell his team at halftime? You were in a position like this a year ago when you won the 4A championship. What did you tell your club? What did he tell his club?
Well, I think one of the things that Rick can't be totally satisfied with is his offensive production running the ball. You know, they've done a nice job throwing the ball, but I think they've got to do a better job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and he knows that, because ball possession, time of possession is going to be very important in the second half, and he wants to score. You know, Rick is not the kind of a guy that likes to sit on the football. He likes to put points on the board.
Rockhurst came into this game at 10-2. Hazelwood East at 13-0. If they win today, they finish out a perfect season, and certainly an accomplishment for Rick Gorzinski and the Spartans. Gorzinski, of course, a Northeast Missouri State University graduate, and as you said, Severino, a graduate of Kansas State, as we take a look at some first half stats.
And time of possession has to jump out at you. Rockhurst having the ball nearly 15 minutes, Hazelwood just over 9. But again, the great equalizer, turnovers. We can tell you that those numbers are not correct. Rockhurst has 4 turnovers, Hazelwood East 2, and of course that's really the big factor in the ball game, the Hawklets giving the ball away.
Yeah, the momentum shifts and the changes in the ball game were very dramatic in that first half, and I think both coaches would like to see them settle down and play it a little steadier on both sides of the football.
Well, we began the game under cloudy skies. We'll remain under cloudy skies, but for a late November afternoon, a relatively mild day here, which I know you guys are happy about. You've been in the booth the last couple of years when it's apparently been bone chilly.
Yeah, and the flag is limp now. Before the start of the game, there was a little bit of a breeze out of the south. Right now, it is perfect. So as far as the kickers being affected, wind will not be a problem the rest of the way.
No, but, you know, speaking of the kicking game, we've seen some malfunction in the kicking going already. We have a blocked punt, a mishandled field goal attempt. And one of the concerns of the Hazelwood coaches is in their punting game. If they have a weakness, it may be that they don't kick the ball as well as they'd like to. However, we recall early in the first half, they did punt the ball, and it wasn't fielded. Subsequently rolled down to the 6-yard line, and right after that, we had the sack and the interception. So what was a concern, or them came out to be maybe an asset early in the ball game.
Yeah, Burton averaging under 35 yards a kick coming into this game. And you probably have to think, too, though, as many times as the Spartans have scored this year, he may not have had to kick that many times.
I think the total that I read recently was 26 times on the season.
Over 13 games. Yeah.
13 ball games.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the captains are meeting at midfield, and Hazelwood East will receive the second half kickoff as they look for their first state championship ever. For Tony Severino, this is old hat. 5 championships in the past, 4 in the 80s, as they look for another one. So it's the battle of the veterans and the rookies, so to speak, as we get ready for the second half.
And with the Hawklets starting on defense here to start the second half, what they want to be able to do is stop the Spartans early. Get the ball back, try to make something happen right away. Obviously, Hazelwood East is feeling very good about things. At the half, they are leading the team that has been here, the team with the big game advantage. At least that's what the Rockhurst people feel. But Hazelwood East is playing with them and doing better than that. They're ahead.
There's the big play guy, number 7, Ronaldo Gallagher. Jack, do you expect Whistler to go to Gallagher even more in the second half and try to break this thing open?
Well, I think Gallagher will always be an integral part of every play in some way, shape, or form. I mean, if he's not carrying the ball, he's faking, and I think you'll find they'll want the ball in his hands in some way. But, you know, from the line of scrimmage today, he's only handled the ball one time, so we can look for him to come on the reverse play later in this half.
Todd Powell gets the second half underway with the high kick taken at the 10-yard line by Franklin West. Up over the 15, the 20, breaks free, up over the 30, one man to beat, cuts to midfield and taken down right at midfield. Franklin West with an explosive run out to the 50-yard line.
And Todd Powell saved a touchdown. The kicker did an excellent job breaking down, getting into good position. Otherwise, Franklin West would have gone all the way.
Talk about your choices. We don't want to kick the ball to Gallagher, right, because he'll run the thing back.
Yeah.
So we kick it away from Gallagher, and what happens? We get the big play on the return.
And so that's where Hazelwood East will take over, just shy of the 50-yard line. David Whistler still in there at quarterback, the I formation, and Gallagher goes in motion to the left. The handoff to the first man through, that's Randy Hunt, who gets 2, maybe 3 yards, where he runs into a host of white jerseys.
Well, we know one thing about motion, it gets people's attention. But this motion, with Gallagher in motion, it gets everybody's attention. I mean, every man on the defense has to know where he is on every snap of the ball.
You see number 66, Josh Selzer, 6'3", 236-pound senior, who came up to help out on the play as we've got a 2nd and 8. We're just underway in the second half. Hazelwood East is leading Rockhurst 14-7 behind their quarterback David Whistler, who's 5 of 8 for 74 yards on the day. The backs once again in the I formation. Robinson going in motion to the left. Whistler back to throw. It looks for Gallagher, who cuts to the outside, but the pass is overthrown and well defensed, and it will bring up a 3rd down play.
You know what they tried to do that time was they lined up in the slot right and sent the slot man in motion, leaving Gallagher by himself, and they were looking for man-to-man coverage, but they didn't get it. They got a 2-man zone over there and took the play away.
Actually kind of a risky throw that time indeed, Coach, because there were a couple of guys back there, and Otis, as we've talked about earlier, plays the center field. He plays beyond on a ball that is overthrown.
Jonathan Mitchell into the game now at the wide receiver position. Whistler under heavy pressure and taken down at the 45-yard line. Sean Connor, number 39 and 70, Chris Sexton make the play.
Well, what a critical sack, and one of the few sacks that Hazelwood East has allowed on the season. They've done a marvelous job of protecting the quarterback.
Well, you've got to believe Sean Connor playing with adrenaline. Obviously, he is tired. The fact that he was hospitalized a couple of days this week on antibiotics, had blood poisoning. But your senior game, the state championship game, boy, you don't want to miss that.
Ron Burton will do the punting as he stands at his own 33-yard line for Hazelwood East. John Tarantino will field the low kick at his 22. Tries to find some room around the right side, gets out to the 30, looks to cut back, still on his feet to the 35, and driven out of bounds at the 37-yard line.
And Tarantino did that on his own because Burton's kick was low. It was a line drive. Coverage was not able to get down the field in time, so he did the right thing and pretty much headed it up the field.
And so with 9:56 remaining in the third quarter, and Hazelwood East leading 14-7, this is the Missouri State High School Football Network. 38, as going in motion is Hodis. The handoff goes up the middle to Mayer, who gets maybe to the 40-yard line, but no more as number 58, Corley Brooks, makes the tackle. And that will bring up a second down and about, we'll call it 8 yards.
Rockhurst had some success running the football in the first half. They had 34 yards. Check that. 111 yards. Okay, so they went over the 100-yard mark. Against that front line, those two big guys in the middle, you got to figure that's a pretty good day.
The wishbone offense, the ball goes to number 31, Mayer, who sneaks out over the 40 to the 43-yard line, where number 30, Darnell Clark, came up to make the hit. And Clark, of course, we remember for that massive, massive hit on Neubauer in the first half.
Dave, they did have some success running the ball first half, and I think the one big play you recall was the option play where Pendergast turned the ball back inside. And right now, early, it looks like they've been content to run between the tackles.
3rd down and 5. Once again, Rockhurst in the bone. Pendergast looks right, throws right, complete, but dropped now by Powell right around midfield, and so that will bring up another punting situation.
Wide open back coming out of the backfield again, this time out of the wishbone. The tight end ran a deep pattern, ran the defensive back off and got the back open, but the ball just slightly underthrown, couldn't be handled.
And so Todd Powell, number 80, comes in to do the punting chores, and he will stand at about his own 30-yard line. Ronaldo Gallagher and Franklin West once again back to field the punt inside their 20. Clock's moving. We've got 8:44 to go in the third quarter. It's a low punt once again. Gallagher will move away from this one as it takes a bounce, and it's coming to rest and down at the 23-yard line. And so that's where Hazelwood East will take over. 8:35 to go. They lead at 14-7, and this is the Missouri 5A.
Imagine, get beautiful new furniture for the holidays and pay nothing until next June. For a limited time, make no payments for 6 months, pay no interest charges for 6 months, and buy with no money down. Plus, you'll get Rothman's lowest possible prices on everything, and much of it at our best prices of the year. Take advantage of this 6 months, same as cash offer. It's a great way to decorate your home for the holidays, but it's for a limited time only, and only at Rothman.
This is
Own 23-yard line. They lead at 14-7 as Robinson goes in motion now. Whistler looks to pitch, but we've got flags down on the play. I would imagine we have some motion on the Hazelwood East side.
I tell you, East really loading up on the left side on that play. They come out with an unbalanced line left, send the back in motion to the left, and they're going to sweep that way. So be interested to see if that's a strategy that Coach Krasinski has worked up at halftime to attack this very aggressive interior of the Rockhurst defense.
Illegal motion on Hazelwood East, and so it will bring up a 1st and 15 now as it moves them back inside their 20 to their 18-yard line. Robinson has gone out of the game. Jonathan Mitchell, number 24, has come in, and now he starts in motion behind Whistler. And the handoff goes to the second man through, Fletcher, Terrell Fletcher, who sneaks over the 20, where Matt Sweeney makes the tackle. That gets them, I'm sorry, Jack, up close to the original line of scrimmage.
We had penetration on again out of the very aggressive charge of the Rockhurst defense, and just couldn't handle him in the backfield.
Haven't seen a lot out of Fletcher today, but boy, he's had a super year. Consider over 1,400 yards rushing and 21 touchdowns. That's a pretty good season for a guy that didn't start early on.
Right. Yeah. Second and 11. Whistler continues to stay in there at quarterback. Mitchell goes in motion. The pitch goes to Fletcher. Fletcher to the 27-yard line, maybe the 28. Chris Sexton in to help out on the play, and that will bring up a big third down.
Boy, and a real big reaction out of the secondary coming up, because Hazelwood East really handled the Rockhurst corner, had it caved in. Looked like he had a lot of yardage in front of him, but the speed of the Rockhurst secondary made that potential big play just a pretty average play.
Well, the clock continuing to move. We're coming up on 7 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the third quarter, and a big third down and 5 now for Hazelwood Central at their own 27-yard line. Whistler back to throw, looking right, looking for Gallagher, has him to the 40, the 45-yard line, and I checked myself on that. It's Kyle Robinson, the flanker, who's up near midfield.
Yeah, that time they used Gallagher as a decoy. They ran him off. He ran a little post route and opened that seam on the outside. Linebacker attempting to cover and just can't get there.
Whistler showed pretty good poise, too, because a big lineman was coming right for him. He knew as soon as he unleashed that ball, he was going to get hit, yet he hung in there as long as possible, completed a big pass.
A lot of credit has to be given to that Hazelwood East front line. They've given Whistler a lot of time today. Again, Mitchell, who remains in there, goes in motion. The pitch goes to Fletcher, who tries to get over the 45-yard line, but Rockhurst will hear none of that as 64 Steve Hudo comes in on the play.
Well, on that, you've got to get somebody on the end to block. You've got to get some help, and that time the Rockhurst defense was able to penetrate and string that play out, and really the back had nowhere to go.
We see the play there by number 64, and that will bring up a second down and 11. How important is it, Jack, for Rockhurst to get the ball back and make something happen offensively before the end of the third quarter?
Well, I don't think the third quarter has much to do with it. I just think they need the ball back, though. We need to keep Hazelwood East off the scoreboard. There's a lot of time left in this ball game.
The handoff goes to Fletcher, breaks one tackle, but can't get past the second one as he's out to the 47-yard line as number 32, Charlie Lee, makes the stop.
And with a 14-7 score, probably should think about an overtime. Well, in the championship game, they don't happen. You end in a tie.
Should it be that way, Coach?
I think there's a real mixed opinion. If you're asking me, I don't like ties. I like a winner. I like to come away with something, if possible.
What's that about kissing your sister? Third down 9, 5.5 minutes to go. Whistler looking deep, looking at what a marvelous one-hand try, but now let's see if they give it to him. The referees can't decide. It looked like Ronnie Ward made the catch, then he dropped it, and the referees can't decide. Let's watch it again.
Ronnie Ward, consider that he is a sophomore, goes up strong with a big left hand, pulls it down, and I believe the Spartans are going to get the football at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, on the replay, it looks like a completion. He had good control. He brought the ball into his chest and controlled it. I think they're ruling the ground. The ground calls a fumble there, which is a rare thing in high school football, gentlemen.
What confused me as much as anything, one referee said incomplete, the other said complete. They looked at each other, and finally, the Spartans will get the football at the 30-yard line of Rockhurst. Backs in the I formation. Gallagher coming in motion to the right. The handoff goes to Fletcher, who goes nowhere. Stopped right at about the line of scrimmage.
Well, if there's ever a time for the Hawklets to hold on defense, it is right now. They really do not have a big play type of offense where they can strike quickly. They don't obviously want to get down a couple of touchdowns at this point and give the Spartans even more confidence than they have at this point.
A lot of people might wonder why Hazelwood East, with all the success they have throwing going wide, running up in there when there's not much territory. But I tell you, eventually, if they keep that scheme going, they may pop something, because Rockhurst has got to be concerned about the perimeter.
Mitchell and Gallagher go wide to the left as now Whistler looks that direction under a heavy rush and taken down. The ball squirts loose, and Rockhurst has recovered. Rockhurst has recovered the fumble. Number 66, Josh Selzer, comes up with the football.
To Gary, credit that sack and that fumble recovery to the secondary of Rockhurst, because there is nobody open. I mean, they locked on man-to-man, and he had nobody to throw the ball to. He rightfully brought the ball back down, but unfortunately got the fumble.
And so a big play. Rockhurst takes over, trailing at 14-7. 4:36 to play in the third quarter. This is the Missouri State High School Football Network.
And Jack talked about it before. Great job downfield by the secondary to protect, and then the quarterback had seen Whistler just drop the football.
Well, on 1st and 10, the big hit as Chris Powell tries to go up the middle, and nothing is doing as Rob Meyercourt, number 46, makes a mean hit. Let's watch the other angle on the fumble.
You might be able to tell as we check again. It looks like Whistler just drops it right in there. I don't know if he was trying to change hands or
it looked like
get a good hold.
He was trying to put the ball away, and it just didn't get away. It got away from him. What happened?
It will bring up a 2nd down and 11 from the 34-yard line. Pendergast back to throw. Has time. Looks and in and out of the hands of number 84, Tim Mock, the tight end, as West came up, number 44, to make a big hit and knock the ball away.
And we see good coverage on both sides of the ball that time by the guys in the burgundy. Franklin West was all over Tim Mock.
We were surprised at halftime with the big scoring in the early going, and now it's settled back into a defensive game since the turnovers.
Well, I think both coaches have probably told their people to be a little more careful with the ball and what they're doing with it. And at the same time, both coaches seem to have gotten just a little bit conservative with their play calling.
3rd down and 11. Pendergast under pressure, breaks one tackle, breaks a second, trying to get into the open field. He's going to run with the football to the 35 and drag down from behind, short of the 40-yard line. Darnell Clark, who's playing a whale of a game, makes the tackle from behind.
That time Jamie made something out of nothing. There was really nothing downfield, and he sort of ducked underneath the rush and decided to head it out, and he picked up a couple of yards, 3 yards.
Yeah, that was the worst of both worlds. Nothing downfield and about 8 people around him at the line of scrimmage. He did a nice job of eluding a sack and making something happen.
3 minutes, 40 seconds to play in the third quarter. And Powell goes back into punt formation, standing at his own 25-yard line. Gallagher and West back deep to receive it for Hazelwood East. And it's a good, high, long kick to Gallagher's side of the field that he calls for a fair catch. And so that's where Hazelwood East will take over inside their 20-yard line.
Can get the momentum change back by forcing a punt now. It's a big effort on their part.
Robinson in motion. The pitch goes to Fletcher to the 20 and just short of about the 26-yard line where he's brought down on the play.
Well, Fletcher's story is really pretty amazing. He was not a starter earlier in the year. The guy that was quit the team, decided to come back. Coach said you can come back if three things happen. A, you apologize to your coaches. B, you apologize to your teammates, explain yourself, and C, the players vote you back. They voted him not to come back by a vote of 42-3, and Fletcher's done a super job.
And we'll have a 2nd down and 4. Here comes Gallagher, the 135-pound flanker in motion. They look the other way, and a quick little turn-in pattern is completed out to the 40-yard line, where Kyle Robinson makes the grab, and that will be a 1st down as Vince Hodis came up on the coverage.
Well, Kyle Robinson certainly has made his presence felt in the ball game after the early touchdown pass. They've gone to a lot of ball control with him, using Fletcher as sort of the decoy man.
Both Robinson and Gallagher are little guys, neither one of them over 165, but their presence has been felt on the field today, as you mentioned, Jack. That was just a little simple slant pattern. And Whistler, who's been brilliant all day long, put the ball on the money. 1st and 10 now, just shy of the 40-yard line. Clock continues to tick. Coming up on 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. Hazelwood East looking for their first ever 5A state championship. Whistler looking right, throwing right, in and out of the hands of Gallagher. Mark Mera on the coverage.
And that's a guy that you obviously want to try to get the football to, but having some of the other players around him divert the attention of the defense. That time was obviously a pass that you want to get to Gallagher on the outside where he can catch the ball and head off, where there maybe are not a lot of defenders back there to run him down, but that time the ball went through him.
Well, you can almost think that they're leaving Robinson somewhat alone, being so concerned with Gallagher. And so far, it has paid off for the Spartans. 2nd down and 10. As again, here comes Robinson in motion to the bottom portion of the screen. The pitch goes to Fletcher, gets to the outside, the 50, the 40, and that's where he's knocked out of bounds inside the 40-yard line.
Gary, there again, we have an unbalanced line, a motion that way, so we got a double unbalanced situation. Again, creating a real pressure at the corner for Rockhurst.
Watch Fletcher again with the good speed to the outside.
And that's where quickness and speed come in. When he hit the corner and the coverage was behind him, it was going to be a foot race. Finally, Vince Hodis, bad toe and all, able to pull him down at the 41.
1st down and 10. And the handoff goes to Gallagher, who's trying to use his great speed to get to the outside, but there'll be nothing there on the play as Hodis, there he is again, makes the play. Let's pause 5 seconds right now to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
KMOV TV, Channel 4, St. Louis.
That play by Gallagher was the one that earlier caused a fumble on the missed handoff.
What impresses me about that kid, 135 pounds, and yet he's not afraid or timid to run inside. He'll run and play with anybody.
Oh, no, he'll stick his nose in there. He's a tough kid.
2nd down and 9, the back's in the eye. Whistler gets protection, looks downfield, intended for Gallagher, but overthrown as he was pretty well covered. 4 white jerseys around the football.
Rockhurst really has scouting. The scout team has done a great job preparing because there are white shirts everywhere. On that play and the play previous on the misdirect, there were 5 or 6 people waiting for that reverse. So they're reading formations and doing a great job of anticipating the play call.
Tony Severino has to be getting concerned. His club trailing at 14-7 late in the 3rd quarter. It's 3rd down and 9 from the 40. Whistler pumps once, then throws it up deep, intended for Robinson, and I believe it is intercepted.
Yeah, that time Rockhurst was in a deep zone. On 3rd and 9, you can afford to do that. Hodis went back, and we talked about him before being really a Division I type defensive back, and he was able to go up and take the ball down. He is a big, strong kid at 6 foot, 180. When the ball was up there for grabs, Vince went to it, jumped at the ball's highest point as far as he could get there, and obviously in good position to take the ball away from the receiver and give the ball back to the Hawklets.
Great coverage on the play as again they double team Jack that area of the field where Gallagher is.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job, like you say, of the double zone cover. And of course, for Hazelwood East, although they don't score, this becomes as effective as a punt, maybe even better so, with the ball now resting on the 15-yard line. Rockhurst certainly has a lot of real estate to go before they can tie this ball game up.
Hodis goes wide to the top of the field as the backs are in the pro set behind Pendergast. 1st and 10, the handoff to the first man through. That's Powell breaking 1 tackle and getting out close to a 1st down, probably about 2 yards short of the 1st down as he did some mean running, banged off a couple of hits.
It's a great play, again, at the bubble of that defense, running right between those tackles and at those linebackers. Trapping on Corley Brooks.
Terrell Fletcher made the play, and interesting to note how many of these guys are playing on both sides of the football. 2nd down and 2. The handoff again, straight up the middle to Powell, and he gets up over the 32 to about the 34-yard line, and that will be plenty for a 1st down.
Well, one advantage that you have for the Rockhurst players at this point of the season in terms of playing on both sides of the ball, Rockhurst had a fairly easy time in the district. Very early in the playoff season as well. Coach Severino was able to rest some of his kids, but when you got down to talking about the semifinals, they had a tough game with Park Hill. That's when the bumps and bruises of a long season start to take their toll.
We've got 24 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. It's been a scoreless 3rd quarter so far as Hazelwood East continues to hold on to the 14-7 lead as they continue and dream of their first state championship under Rick Gorzinski. Well, it's been an overcast day here, but a mild day for this state championship game. It's been great football weather. Here we go. Pendergast loses the football. Picks it up, turns upfield, looks downfield, and now it's intercepted. Number 44, Franklin West, still on his feet at the 30 and brought down at the 28-yard line.
I'm going to say something that my baseball coach in high school always said. Never make mistakes in two. If you make a mistake dropping the football, okay, you made a mistake, but don't compound it by doing something like that and throwing the ball away. Obviously a poor decision.
Well, Dave, that's a repeat of a play we saw earlier, where he made a play fake, and for some reason, the ball goes away. He's really not touching anybody. It's just all of a sudden the ball's out of his hand.
And he forced the pass. Tim Mock was there, but not really. The ball well behind him and high, as the Spartans at the start of the fourth quarter will start with excellent field position up by a touchdown.
And so what a big play to end our third quarter. We've got 1 quarter to go. Hazelwood East leading at 14-7. And this is the Missouri 5A. Just having trouble holding on to the football.
Yeah, we all sort of sit up here and shake our head. One thing that you have to bring up is the fact that at some point that defensive line is going to put the pressure on. Maybe just thinking about the line might have had something to do with him dropping the football, and then he panicked once he did and made a bad decision on the pass, and the Spartans in excellent position here to start the final period.
As we get ready to start the final quarter, one big play here could sort of seal it for Hazelwood East, and there goes Fletcher into the open field, the 10, the 5, and a touchdown.
Big play, and again, Hazelwood East lining up in an unbalanced line, sending motion that direction, and simply outnumbering Rockhurst at the corner. They have more people to block than Rockhurst has to defend, and of course he makes a great effort on breaking the tackle, but look at the number of shirts out there in front.
Hunt made a terrific block on the corner. Missed tackle by Hodis there, as Fletcher shows the speed that's given him 22 touchdowns on the year and over 1,400 yards rushing. That's the kind of play that Rockhurst wanted to try to avoid today, and as it ends up, Spartans go up by 2 touchdowns.
And now Dan Kastning tries to put on the extra point, and he does so to make it 21-7. And we talked about the big play, and no sooner did I say it did Fletcher come up with it, as Hazelwood East has taken a 21-7 lead. I want to remind you that this is the Missouri State High School Football Network.
Kathy Sproul studies chemistry at MU, but there's something this laboratory setting doesn't tell you. Kathy is an accomplished writer. That's because of MU's innovative campus writing program in such fields as chemistry, biology, and business. An engineering professor teaches students to write meaningfully about engineering, producing the complete professional. MU, serving Missouri and the nation for over 150 years.
High school football, sports, medicine.
Hazelwood East has opened up a 14-point lead, and Jack, does this mean that Rockhurst has to open the game up a bit?
Well, we've got 11:52 left on the clock, and how you open up the thing, it just depends on your offensive capabilities, but they certainly haven't chosen to set on the ball. They've got plenty of time. They've got time to make a drive. They've got time to force Hazelwood to punt. The biggest thing is, of course, I think for Hazelwood is not to sit on the ball, is to keep attacking. So there's plenty of time left for both ball clubs.
Yeah, when you consider that Rockhurst averaged 35 points a game this year, they can score a lot of points, and they can score them fairly quickly. Against this defense, that might be a different situation.
Kastning will kick it away, and it's a low kick to be fielded on the right side of the field by Vince Hodis. To the middle of the field, breaks one tackle up to about the 28-yard line, where he's been very hard on the play, and that is where Rockhurst will take over in desperate need of a touchdown. Let's go back now and take a look at the big touchdown by Fletcher. The explosive speed to the outside, big block right there, and then he breaks the tackle by Hodis, and from there it's just pure speed, baby.
If you're the defense, what you want to do on that play is stretch Fletcher all the way out to the sideline at the line of scrimmage, but he was able to get downfield and break one tackle, and it was all over.
Jamie Pendergast completes it to Tim Mock on a beautiful diving catch up over the 35-yard line to the 37. It will bring up a 2nd and 2 situation.
I'll tell you, just that completion is a big lift for Rockhurst, because coming back and just moving the ball right now is very, very important. Getting some kind of field position, and even if you don't score, getting your defense position where they can make the big play, because after all, we can score on defense too in this game.
Tony Severino's club feeling the pressure right now. Pendergast again back to throw, pumps once and now lets it go. Intended for Hodes, and it is overthrown, and he actually had his man beat by a step, but the pass well overthrown.
This game, a very emotional one for obvious reasons, playing at a state championship, but another reason, Al Davis, the athletic director at Rockhurst, football coach there for 24 years, started at the school in 1952, retiring this year. Every sport, I suppose, would like to give him a little special going-away gift, and Rockhurst, the football team, would like to do that as well.
Darrell Watkins was beat on the play, but he gets away with it. We've got a 3rd down and 2, and the handoff goes to Powell right up the middle, and that will be plenty for a 1st down as he's over the 45-yard line to the 46-yard line, where Rockhurst will keep the drive alive. Meyercord came up to make the play.
Chris Powell is not always fancy, but he still averages 6 yards a carry.
Well, I was going to say, on that middle trap that they're running, and they're doing a very good job, they're averaging about 6 yards per rush on that play.
Number 29, Kevin Efforts, comes in from the sideline to bring the play to Pendergast. Tony Severino told me he'd use a lot of players today, bringing a lot of them in with plays, and he has done that. And so it's 1st and 10, the clock continuing to move, 10 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in the game. The backs in the I formation. Pendergast hands it off to Hodes, and right there to snuff out the play is number 5, Randy Hunt.
Well, that time they tried to reverse, but they unfortunately picked a time when Hazelwood East was on a blitz on the outside, and it just goes nowhere.
Boy, Hunt read that play beautifully, and then there to finish it off was a little guy, Corley Brooks, 6'8", 352.
At least.
A loss of 4 on the play, 2nd and 14 now. For Rockhurst, Powell right up the middle, drags a couple of tacklers up to the 44-yard line. But some good gang tackling as Meyercord once again was in on the play, and he seems like he's there every time.
Well, we know we're all charting 3rd down conversions these days, and they're all important. But of importance, this is a big 3rd down conversion coming up for Rockhurst.
And it will be a 3rd down and 11 coming up. One thing that Rockhurst has not done all day is given Pendergast the time to throw the football. Whistler has had a lot more time on the other side of the football. 3rd and 11. We're under 10 minutes to play. Pendergast rolling left, looking left, incomplete, in and out of the hands of Vince Hodes, his senior split back. Franklin West in on the coverage.
Chris Powell gets some credit that time for at least allowing Pendergast to get the pass off and have a chance to complete it, because again, Hunt came around on a blitz on the backside, and Powell was able to hold him off, at least give his quarterback a little bit of time to find a receiver and get the ball downfield.
Once again, that pass was catchable. I mean, it was in the hands.
Dave, you've seen Rockhurst a lot this year. Is this uncharacteristic, the number of times that Hazelwood has forced them to throw the ball?
They want to throw the ball, but normally they have time to throw. They normally have time to execute the play as you write it up in the chalkboard on Monday or Tuesday. They normally are able to do what they want to do in terms of holding people off so that they can do it just like they drew it up. I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen Pendergast do more rolling. He's done that a lot this year, where he will ad-lib. He'll be waving guys downfield, give me 5 more yards, and then he'll lay the ball out there. We really haven't seen him do a lot of sprint outs, not as much as normal.
Well, there's a big penalty on a punting situation that cost of 5 yards, and 5 yards is very important to this ball club right now.
Todd Powell lets it go, and a fair catch being called for by Franklin West inside the 25-yard line. And so with 9 minutes and 14 seconds to play in the game, 7, as we've got 9 minutes and 14 seconds to play in the game, Hazelwood East looking for their first ever 5A championship, and they take over 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Robinson comes in motion to the left. The pitch goes to Fletcher. He gets over the 20, but not much more than that, maybe the 21.
Coach, that's what you've been talking about, that unbalanced line, bringing a guy in motion, student body left, everybody's headed that way, and then the ball carrier hopefully gets a block or two. That time only got a yard.
Right. And I tell you, the next thing you got to look for is the toss back to the short side, because now Rockhurst is starting to make the adjustment. So it's very simple to run that unbalanced run motion and then toss it back. But this is a big defensive series for Rockhurst. Rockhurst needs to force a punt right away to get the ball in good field position.
2nd down and 9. Jonathan Mitchell into the game, replacing Robinson. He goes in motion towards the top of the screen. Handoff goes to Hunt, the first man through. Gains maybe 2 yards on the play, where he's quickly snuffed out by Matt Sweeney, number 34, and number 30, Charlie Lee.
Talked to Coach Gorzinski yesterday. I said, you know, what do your kids know about the Rockhurst team? He says, well, fortunately, high school football news from Kansas City doesn't get over here so well, so they don't know how good this team is. I want to keep it down. I don't want them to be intimidated, and certainly we're not as a team, and I don't want my kids to feel that way. And obviously they have played with them today, in fact, up by 2 touchdowns.
And it brings up a 3rd down and 5 now. Very big situation. Backs in the I formation. Mitchell goes in motion. The top of the screen. The pitch to Fletcher. Tries to cut back inside. Taken down short of the 25-yard line, but we've got a flag on the play.
Do you see a clip? Do we have a clip
Could
back
be
here?
holding in the backfield. And my guess is that Rockhurst will decline this, bringing up a 4th down. And they got just what they needed. They got a punting situation.
Fletcher, of course, scored the big touchdown to open it up to 21-7. And there we see the holding call. And as you predicted, Jack, they have declined the penalty.
Are we going to guess block punt? At least a block punt scheme coming up here. I mean, that's what happened early in the ball game. The first turnover of the ball game, I believe, was the block punt.
Ron Burton back to do the punting. Deep in his own territory, standing at the 13-yard line. Clock continues to move. 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Here comes Rockhurst. They can't make the block. And the only guy back there, as the ball bounds back into territory at the 49-yard line, where Franklin West downs it. Tarantino was the only man back, and he stayed away from the football. Missouri State High School Activities Association is strictly prohibited. It'll be 1st down and 10, 7:20 to go. Pendergast looking left, rolling left, under pressure, lets it go, and it is incomplete, just off the fingertips of Tim Mock, who almost made an unbelievable catch.
And that's the kind of play that I was talking about before, where Pendergast would have a sprint out to one side, get the ball downfield, maybe ad lib, tell Mock to go a little bit longer. Tim Mock has been catching balls like this all year. And of course, you almost expect him to make the sensational every time. And even till the very last instant when that ball hit the turf, it seemed that he might have a chance.
I believe we've got a flag down on the field. Pass interference is called on the play. And so that's a big play, which will give Rockhurst a 1st down.
And another good thing for the Hawklets, the clock keeps stopping at opportune points with 7:12 to go. Any chance that they get a dead ball where the clock will not run, that gives them more opportunity.
So there's a 15-yard gain. It puts them in an excellent field position now. Now we're in the 4-down zone. We don't have to worry about a punt. We know we're not going to punt from here. So now we've got some flexibility in our thinking offensively.
Jack, in high school football on the pass interference, it's 15 yards from the line of scrimmage.
That's correct.
And so it's 1st and 10 now. Pendergast back to throw, drops straight back, looking deep, intended for
what a catch.
Mock, who
What
makes
a catch.
Marvelous
One
grab
hand.
inside the 5.
What an amazing catch. That's got to be on replay. We got to have that one.
He is the leading receiver for the Hawklets this year, and right there you see why. Nearly a sensational catch a moment ago. This time, same opportunity. And what's amazing about the play, Mock had to adjust his route, move inside a step or two, and then take the ball away for the defender who was right there.
Franklin West was right on the coverage, but a great catch by Mock. It's 1st and goal now. Pendergast rolling, throwing into the end zone. Touchdown, Chris Powell, and we've got ourselves a ball game.
Talk about wide open. We've seen that play all day long. We've talked repeatedly up here on and off camera about how those backs are wide open against that man-to-man defense, and there's an excellent example of it. Right now in the flats, nobody near him.
Let's watch it again as Pendergast hits a wide open Powell.
Well, you can see three guys in the middle of the defense just kind of hanging around. Nobody went back when the back came out, and Chris Powell all by himself.
And so the extra point, now a big extra point by Todd Powell, is up and good. And we have ourselves a football game as it's now 21-14. Hazelwood East is leading Rockhurst, but they are certainly back in the football game with 6 minutes and 58 seconds to go. We talked about this, fellas, the fact that Rockhurst was really limited to 2 offensive plays up to this point. They were running the ball up the middle and then an occasional drop-back pass. All of a sudden, they started to open the offense up, and look what happened.
Well, they certainly have got the life in them now. I mean, scoring at this point with 6:58 to go gives them a big lift. And now, of course, they need that big defensive series again. It'd be interesting to see how Coach Garzinski plays this one now. You know, he's one who likes to open up his offense, and to see if he's going to continue to be open or if he's going to close that thing down a little bit.
Tony Severino feeling the pressure, but certainly I would imagine, Dave, a little more comfortable knowing he's within a touchdown now.
He is a guy that is hoarse from August to the end of November, always yelling, always screaming. Even in ball games where they're up by 40 points, he never seems to be relaxed. You know, you can try to inspire kids, motivate them, get them going, but at some point the kids have to really want to do it. I think now the Hawklets realize that they have to do it. Talk about being excited. Todd Powell just booted it out of the back of the end zone.
Well, no chance for Ronaldo Gallagher right there as Powell, with the adrenaline pumping, just let one fly through the end zone. And so East will take over 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. And as you mentioned, Jack, this is a critical defensive stand.
It certainly is. You know, they're pumped up now. I mean, it'd be interesting, again, it's going to be very interesting to see how Rick Garzinski handles his play call here, because he's got a very aggressive and maybe over-aggressive Hawk defense out there right now.
Well, Chris Powell caught the touchdown. Todd Powell kicked it out of the end zone, and so here we go. Hazelwood East from their own 20. Here comes Robinson in motion. The handoff goes to Hunt, and he's up over the 24 to the 25-yard line, where he snuffed out on the play. Tim Mock in on the coverage.
Well, there's a lot of time in this game, and I'm sure the Rockhurst players are well aware of what happened in Springfield yesterday with Luther North trailing by 13 points against Branson and under a minute to play and win a ball game. Come back and score twice in less than a minute. So there's lots of time for lots of things to happen.
6:25 to play. 2nd down and 5. Here comes Mitchell to the bottom of the screen. The pitch goes to the second man. That's Fletcher up over the 30, dragging another man on his back to the 36-yard line. Plenty for a 1st down, and that's where Rockhurst will have to shut them down on that running game to the wide side of the field.
As a running back, what you want to be able to do is keep your feet moving. Keep leaning forward. Try to get the maximum out of the minimum. You see a couple of good blocks on the outside. Hunt able to block a man there. Nice cutback through the defense. Keeps his feet, able to move forward. Good shoulder lean ahead, and they're out near the 35, 36-yard line.
Finally coming up to make the play was Vince Hodis, number 25, from his safety position. David Whistler, 8 of 15 on the day. He's been marvelous at quarterback, not only throwing the football, but also being a general out there on the field. Robinson comes to the bottom of the screen, and we've got a whistle on the play.
You know, Hazelwood East, a team of multiple sets, have gone to a singular set right now in the last few plays in the last few series. They're exclusively in the unbalanced line motion and pulling the backside guard. And so they're just getting a lot of students out in front of that ball, giving that back an opportunity to just kind of pick and weave find his hole up through there.
Illegal motion, and that will move the ball back 5 yards, back to the 31-yard line, where it will bring up a 1st and 15. As Merer goes out of the game now. And we've got 3 backs in the backfield. This has been their setup through most of the second half, and then look for somebody to come in motion. And here we go. Mitchell to the top of the screen. The pitch to the second man, that's Fletcher. To the 30, the 35, and we've got another flag down on the play.
Gary, it looked like the motion man turned upfield prior to the snap of the ball. Just got a little anxious, and illegal motion as a result.
And we may have an injury down there as the clock stops with 5:26 to play.
Well, that's a play that you can see coming when you see that formation. Gallagher is lined up as a tight end on the short side. You've got an unbalanced line. They seem to go in motion that way. And on defense, when you see it coming, Coach, what do you do? I mean, how do you react? What should you do?
Right, you've got to attack the line of scrimmage. You know, when you get that kind of student body out there, those people up front have got to make penetration and essentially take the blockers away, giving your linebackers and defensive backs an opportunity to make the tackle. You can't weave yourself through there because you just create openings. One of the things I think we're still looking for is the unbalanced line motion and toss the ball back to the short side.
Well, Hazelwood East is moving backwards. It's now 1st down and 20 from their own 21-yard line as they try to get something going and hang on to the football. Ball possession right now is so important. Gallagher now into the open field, the 30, and maybe the 31-yard line where Rockhurst quickly shuts him down.
Coach, just what you talked about, and what was important, I guess, for the defense is for the people on that side to stay home, not get everybody flowing to the side of the field where the advantage is personnel-wise.
Right, and you know, one of the things that happened there, and I'm sure the Rockhurst were prepared for that, they lined up Gallagher at tight end on the unbalanced side and brought him back on the reverse that time, so they knew where he was. They knew the potential for that reverse was there.
The clock continues to move, 4:35 to play, 2nd down and 14. There goes Mitchell. The pitch to Fletcher. We've seen that play a million times today, and he's quickly shut down at the 32-yard line.
Well, going into this series, I asked what Coach Garzinski's strategy would be with regard to his offense, and he's elected to run the ball every time, and of course he's very concerned about turnovers, we know. But at the same time, with just over 4 minutes to play, Rockhurst is going to be in great position to get the ball back if they can force a punt right now.
That time, Kevin Efforts did a good job putting the running back on his back and bring up 3rd and long, still 13 yards to go.
This is a critical play as we're under 4 minutes now. 3rd down and 13 from the 33. Robinson. And we may have a delay of game as we've got another flag down on the field. And that's exactly what we do have. And interesting to note, Jack, you said a few moments ago that the one thing Hazelwood East had to do was stay aggressive. And the one thing they appear to be doing is going into a shell.
Well, I think it's a normal, natural thing to not want to make a mistake. And by doing that every once in a while, you might get a little limited in your play calling. But at the same time, you know, with the lead and with the ball in your hands and with a good defense, you don't want to make that big mistake. I mean, right now, Hazelwood East is in control. They do have the ball. They do have the lead. And they do have a great defensive football team.
Boom! And now it's 3rd and 18 from the right hash mark. A big, big 3rd down play. Rockhurst desperately needs to hold. The pitch out goes to the second man. That's Fletcher to the 35, the 36, maybe the 37, but no more. It's certainly well short of the 1st down. And Rockhurst, David, comes up very big.
Well, the Hawklets really needed to do just that. Stop them, have a chance. Pressure on the punter. Burton is not a guy with a big leg. He can't kick it 40, 50 yards normally in the air. Earlier, he got a good bounce on the ball, but I have a good feeling that Tarantino, who is deep for the Hawklets, is not about to let the ball bounce beyond him. In fact, Severino may have said, you pick it up. Don't let it roll back inside the 10.
You know, that series by Hazelwood East wasn't very productive with regards to score or anything, and didn't gain a lot of yardage, but they ran a lot of time off that clock, almost 3 minutes off the clock in just moving the ball 15 yards. So those penalties and all the back and forth things hurt Rockhurst a little bit just by taking time off the clock.
3 minutes, 33 seconds to play in the football game. Tarantino standing back at his own 33-yard line. Burton to punt. Big rush, but he gets it away. On a line, Tarantino takes it and now moves to the left side of the field. Cuts back right, slips, and he's going to be ruled down at the 30-yard line as, again, this turf takes its toll.
It'll do that once in a while. And, you know, he was on one of the lines also. Now, people aren't aware of this, but those painted lines are a little slick, too. They're not exactly a true turf feel to them.
Yeah, those can be really slick. But he did the important thing for Rockhurst, and that was catch the football. Don't give it back to them with just over 3 minutes to play.
Well, the Hazelwood East defense needs to come alive now and play.
First down and 10 from the 30-yard line. Pendergast pumps and now putting it up deep. He's looking deep and wide open, and dropping the football is number 45, Barry Ryan, who was wide open. He could have waltzed into the end zone.
Well, we're looking at a tie game there with over 3 minutes to play. He was all by himself. There was nobody else around him. I don't know if the defender fell down or not as we take another look, but that we're talking about kicking an extra point or try for two right there.
I tell you, he just didn't look the ball in. He tried to bring the ball into his chest, and as he did that, it bounced off. What a difficult play for the young man.
Franklin West was at least 5 yards off the play. That's not one that Ryan will soon forget. Pendergast looks to throw again under pressure. Got hit as he got it away, and it's well short of the intended receiver, Vince Hodis. Henry Thomas and Corley Brooks putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Well, now if you're Rockhurst, you get a little bit concerned about 3rd down and 10. Now you have to complete a pass. Now you have to keep this drive alive at the 30-yard line. You got 70 yards to go. You got to forget about that pass that was dropped and continue on with 3 minutes and 1 second to go, down by a touchdown.
And that's always tough, I know, for a young player to drop a pass like that. That's what he won't soon forget. 3rd down and 10, 3 minutes and 1 second to play in the football game. Don't forget there's no overtime. Pendergast back to pass, looks over the middle, and it's knocked away by number 21, Burton, who comes up with a big play as it was intended for Tim Mogg.
Well, that time Pendergast tried to make something out of nothing. I'm not sure Mogg was open, but he felt like he had to do something. He threw something really into coverage. Mogg with defenders on both sides of him as we look from the end zone.
Well, you know, it's academic because there's not going to be a punt in this situation. Coach Severino has decided this is the all-or-nothing play right now.
This is a huge 4th down and 10. Rockhurst at their own 30. Pendergast back to throw, looking under pressure, overthrows, incomplete, in and out of the hands of Efforts and Hodis. Both men had a chance at it. Hodis probably had the better chance, but he could not hang on to the football. And so Hazelwood East will take over deep into Rockhurst territory. 30 to play as Hazelwood East is on the doorstep of their first ever Missouri Class 5A State Football Championship. 1st down and goal from the 8. Whistler heads off to Hunt. He sees the touchdown. He's going in for the touchdown. Randy Hunt puts this game away. 52 seconds to play. The handoff goes up the middle to Hunt, who's still on his feet and finally knocked down at the 21-yard line with some very tough running.
If Rockhurst does indeed lose this football game, they are going to have countless sleepless nights, Coach, I would think. They're going to think back of course, the missed pass that time and all the turnovers, 6 in all, at least 3-4 of those inside the 20-yard line. Times they were down close and came away with nothing.
Yeah, you know, sometimes this is a game of mistakes, and the key is who makes the critical mistake at the critical time.
2nd down and 1. The ball goes to the first man through. That's Hunt, who goes up over the 20-yard line, and certainly enough for a 1st down as we move towards the 2-minute mark. Rockhurst with 2 timeouts remaining. Hazelwood East with all 3 of their timeouts, but certainly they want to keep the clock moving.
Jamie Pendergast hoping he gets another chance to come out of the football field and help the Hawklets score one more time, but with the clock ticking, just over 2 minutes to go and his team down by 7, that might not happen.
Hazelwood East will certainly keep the football on the ground and try to use up the clock. We're under 2 minutes now, 1:56 and rolling. David Whistler has been in there at quarterback all the way. The handoff goes to Hunt, gets to the outside, and stays inbounds, I believe, as he gets to the 13-yard line. The clock continues to move, and that's very important.
Well, that's a great effort by Hunt. He knew exactly where the sideline was, and he did not